Improving productivity of Panama's agricultural sector question. Let's begin by understanding the meaning of the sentence. Improving productivity of Panama's agricultural sector entails bringing techniques, equipment, seeds up to global standards and cultivating its most promising crops such as bananas and coffee. Now, this sentence basically explains how the productivity of Panama's agricultural sector can be improved, and this can be done by doing two things. And the first thing is to bring certain stuff up to global standards, and these things are actually the techniques, equipment and the seeds that are used in the agricultural sector. So to bring these things up to global standards. And the second thing that can be done to improve the productivity is to cultivate Panama's most promising crops. So if we do these two different things, we can improve the productivity of Panama's agricultural sector. So the meaning is relatively straightforward, and now we'll move over to our answer choice and to our error analysis to find the errors in this sentence. So as usual, we will first look at the sentence and see if we can split it into smaller parts, that is into its individual clauses, to make our life easier. Improving productivity of Panama's agricultural sector entails. So here, improving the productivity entails is the subject verb pair. Entails bringing techniques, equipment, seeds up to global standards and cultivating its most promising crops such as bananas and coffee. So this sentence has only one clause. Notice carefully here, bringing and cultivating are not the verbs. These are verb ing forms of the verb, and again, verb ing forms of verbs can be verbs only if they are preceded by is, are, was, be. So in this case, these are not preceded by any of those helping verbs, so these do not function as the verbs here. So from subject verb standpoint, the sentence appears to be okay. Now there is a pronoun here, its, and that correctly refers to Panama, so there is no doubt about it. And while we are at it, let's just underline the underlined portion of the sentence here. Now there is clearly two lists here. The first list is how the productivity of Panama's agricultural sector can be improved. So that can be done by bringing these techniques, equipment and seeds up to global standards and by cultivating its most promising crops. So those two form the first list, and then we have a list within the list. So you have a list of items that need to be brought up to the global standard. So those are techniques, equipment, seeds. So now if we look at, now we know that whenever, so I mean, as far as the parallel list goes, the items in the list are parallel in both the lists. Bringing, cultivating, both are in verb ing form. Techniques, equipment, seeds, all three are nouns. But we should also check about whether these are connected properly or not. Now clearly here, there are three elements here, and all three elements have been connected using comma, and that's not correct. So whenever you have more than two elements in a list, those should be connected using comma and before the last element. So that is the error here. The other thing is that here you have a comma and separating out the first list, and that is not correct. So when you have only two elements in the list, those two elements should be connected by only and not a comma and. So really this sentence has this parallelism connection error in that it's not connected appropriately. Actually, the way it is written is by connecting, by basically bringing techniques, equipment and seeds up to global standards, comma and cultivating. It appears as though that this sentence combines the two lists into one list, because it has supposedly used comma and before the supposedly last element in the list. So this sentence, you can either say that it has punctuation errors with regards to connection of the list, or you can say that it doesn't identify the two lists as two separate lists. It has incorrectly combined those two lists together. So in any case, we have to find the answer choice that presents these two lists in the most appropriate manner. So now we'll move over to our answer choice analysis. So again, as we discussed earlier, the sentence has parallelism error. Now let's look at choice B. Improving productivity entails bringing up to global standards techniques, equipment, seeds to cultivate. Now this sentence actually distorts the meaning of the original sentence. What it now implies is that improving productivity means bringing these things up to global standards in order to cultivate its most promising crops such as banana and coffee. Now that's not correct. I mean, that's not the intended meaning. Per the intended meaning, we had two different actions that would lead to improving productivity. The first thing was to bring those things up to global standards, and the second thing was to cultivate its most promising crops. But what choice B does is that it combines those two actions into one. It states that once you bring these things to global standards, that would be done in order to cultivate the most promising crops, and that's not correct. So this sentence actually distorts the meaning of the original sentence, and then it also does not connect the elements of the first list appropriately. There is no and before the last element, so this sentence has two errors. So let's look at choice C. Improving productivity entails bringing up to global standards the techniques, equipment, seeds, and cultivation of its most promising crops. Now, this sentence also distorts the meaning of the original sentence, because now what it implies is that improving productivity entails bringing those three things up to global standards, as well as bringing cultivation of its most promising crops up to global standards. So I mean, grammatically this sentence is correct, but it does not communicate the original meaning that there are two things that need to be done to improve the productivity. Instead, what it does is that it says that you also have to improve the global standards of you also have to bring cultivation of its most promising crops up to the global standards. So that's not correct. So again, it's very important to understand what the original intended meaning is, and then select the answer choice that maintains that meaning without introducing any grammatical errors. So this choice is also not correct. Let's look at choice D. Techniques, equipment, and seeds up to global standards and cultivating. So here, this appears to maintain the original meaning, and look at the first list. It has been connected using comma and then you have another and before cultivating without any comma. So it basically does the connection of both the list correctly as we wanted. So this appears to be the correct answer choice. Choice E. Bringing techniques, equipment, seeds up to global standards for cultivating. Again, this choice also has similar errors as choice B does. It distorts the meaning, and it does not connect the three things here appropriately. So choice D is the correct answer, and again, it's very important to understand the meaning of the original sentence and then maintain that meaning in the correct answer choice. So that's about it.